Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam, a big welcome to all of you as we are going to now start the last chapter of history in the social science textbook, Exploring Society, India and Beyond for CBSE Class 6 students. After this, we will have two more chapters, but they are dealing with cultural history. हालांकि overall history का period है, but that is more specifically the cultural history, the real history का ये last chapter है. Okay, geography we have already done, civics we have already done, and then finally we have economics to deal with. So let's get started. This is a slightly longish chapter, the beginning of Indian civilization. What does civilization really mean? I mean, you need to understand कि chapter का आखिरकार मतलब क्या है ना? That is something which you need to understand. Now, सिविलाइजेशन की बात करें, सो सिविलाइजेशन का अगर बेसिक डेफिनेशन बोलना हो, सो इट मींस इट इज एन एडवांस स्टेज ऑफ ह्यूमन सोसाइटीज. यानी कि जब लोग एक तरह से अपने आप को ऑर्गेनाइज कर पाए एंड दे आर फॉलोइंग सर्टेन थिंग्स जिसके बारे में मैं बताऊंगा, अबाउट विच आई विल टेल यू, that qualifies to be called a civilization. Like, for example, it's there in the book also, but I've written it in more simple language. Now, what are the key features of a civilization? Civilization is written both with S and Z. S is something which you can use. Okay, this is more of the American spelling. When there is urban development, which means the formation of cities and towns as centers of trade, governance and culture. और ये आप इस स्टोरी में पाएंगे, इस चैप्टर में पाएंगे. You will find that in this story that they were indulging in trade, they were indulging in some kind of governance, and they had a sense of culture. So that is see, for example, let me give you an example from modern day so that you will understand it better. For example, you are in a city like Mumbai, or let's say Kochi. So in a city like Kochi, which is in Kerala, central Kerala, you will find कि वहां पर कथकली डांस फॉर्म के सेंटर्स हैं, wherein you can go in the evening and appreciate a Kathakali performance, or there could be a song troupe, right? So you could go there and listen to music. You could go and witness the snake boat races that take place. I mean, not exactly in Kochi, near Kochi. So you can see a lot of this kind of cultural activities. It is an organized kind of a city. There are proper roads, etc. There are centers of trade. You go to the Kochi port, you will be able to see trade taking place. So what I'm saying is there is an organized kind of an arrangement of trade, of culture and governance, right? There is a police, there's a traffic police, there is a collector, for administration, fire brigade, everything. That is civilization, right? The second thing is social stratification. Don't go by the heavy word है करके मत सोचो, ignore करो. इसका मतलब ये है कि पूरा जो समाज है, पूरा जो सोसाइटी है, the society is divided into different classes based on factors like wealth, कितना पैसा है. So someone who is very rich will occupy a higher place in society, right? He will be able to employ 200 people, right? He will be able to provide jobs to people, right? So on the basis, and someone who has less wealth will go and work in the factory of the person who is rich, right? So it becomes that kind of an equation. I provide you with a job, you come and work with me, for which I will give you a salary at the end of the month, right? So it becomes a transactional. जो भी मैं नए नए वर्ड्स का इस्तेमाल करता हूं, आप उसको लिख लीजिए. Please note it down, because what will happen is that, and you are at a great age, at the age of 10, 11, as I keep saying, you are like a sponge. Absorb as much as possible. फालतू के कामों में अपना time waste मत करो. This is the best time for you to learn, so that by the time you reach class 10, class 12, you are ahead of others in the race, because you would have absorbed that much. I'll give you an example. A plant that absorbs water well will always grow better. पानी नीचे जा रहा है, रूट्स में जा रहा है, लेकिन उसकी जो शोभा है वो आपको बाहर दिखेगी जब उसके फूल आते हैं, right? Similarly, the more you absorb good content, your mind will grow that much better. It will show in your personality. So the choice is entirely yours. So you have, on the basis of wealth, the word I used was trans, T-R-A-N-S, actional, A-C-T-I-O-N-O-N-A-L. Transactional means transact. there is transaction happening between me and him. I give him money, he works for me, right? Occupation, different kinds of occupation, and power. Jaldi karte hain. Centralized government, there is political institutions that maintain law and order. The examples that I just now gave, infrastructure, defense, etc. Spelling galat ho gaya. Specialized labor, different jobs. Some people are artisans, some people are priests, some people are merchants, some people are soldiers to defend us. Then there are different kind of economic and educational systems, schools, colleges, universities, etc. And some kind of a language in order to communicate. So let's come back to the chapter. So that was about civilization. So civilization में ये सब होता है. मैं इसको comments में एक उसमें डाल दूंगा. Don't worry, don't have to write it down. So civilization में ये सब होता है. So यहां पर you have हरप्पन, इंडस वाली, ये सब mean the same. आजकल इस एनसीईआरटी बुक में they are referred to it as a Sindhu Saraswati civilization. So it means the same thing as the Indus Valley civilization. So it showed a well-balanced community, how it lives, in which the differences between the rich and the poor are not glaring. यानी कि इतना ज्यादा difference नहीं है उस समय पर. In essence मतलब basically the Harappan societal scenario was not that of exploitation but of mutual accommodation. ये बहुत बड़ी बात कही है बीबी लाल ने, who is one of the very prominent historians in India. What he is saying is that जो हरप्पन में जो हमको समाज दिखता था, the kind of society that we saw in Harappan civilization, उसमें ऐसा नहीं था. जो अमीर आदमी है, I am first going to say it in Hindi. It does not mean कि जो अमीर आदमी था वो गरीब को एक्सप्लॉइट करता था, बल्कि गरीब और अमीर एक तरह से आपस में अकोमोडेट करके एक दूसरे का साथ देके रहते थे. It did not mean that the rich person would be exploiting the poor. कि इससे काम कराओ, let's make him work, okay, for 20 hours in a day, let's make him work. It was not like that. But it was a case of accommodation that I help you, you help me. Okay. So that was the way it was. Now let's come. There are lots of photographs in this particular chapter. So this is from one of the excavation sites. What is a civilization? I just now told you. In the previous chapter, we have learned about all these technologies. Metallurgy का definition है. Metallurgy basically means when you extract metal from nature and you purify it and start using it for your daily use and other scientific purposes. Now, what is civilization? The term is used for an advanced stage of human societies. What I told you in the notes. What we will consider as civilization is some kind of government. What I told you. Administration, urbanism, which means town planning, well-planned roads, well-planned streets, well-planned lanes, well-planned drainage system, okay, which includes water management and a drainage system, a variety of crafts, including the management of raw materials such as stone or metal, the production of finished goods, so which can also be used for the purpose of trade, यानी कि व्यापार करने के भी काम आएगा. Trade, both internal, यानी कि शहर के भीतर या मेरे शहर और दूसरे शहर के बीच में व्यापार. मेरे पास ये वाला सामान नहीं है. I don't have this particular material. You have it. So why don't I give this which you don't have and you give me this which you don't have? इसको क्या बोलते हैं मालूम है? When उस समय पर करेंसी नहीं थी, पैसा नहीं था, तो मैं ये दूंगा, वो तुम वो दोगे, तो किस बेसिस पर ये डिसाइड होगा? So this particular system of interchange is ये भी शायद आपके लिए नया वर्ड होगा, is called barter system. Is called a barter system where you don't use currency but you give, A is given to B and B is given to A. So it is an mutual exchange program. Like Abhi, I'll give you an example. I'll keep giving examples. Like for example, Hyderabad Zoo mein there is no giraffe. A zoo in Madhya Pradesh has a giraffe. So what do you do? But I have a rhinoceros. So I will say, I will give you one rhinoceros. You give me two giraffe. A pair of giraffe you give. Okay. So I'll give you one rhinoceros because rhinoceros ka value will be more than a giraffe. Or ho sakta it may be equal. So I may say, I will give you two rhinos. You give me two giraffes. Right? So this kind of an exchange program can happen because Madhya Pradesh Zoo may have, let's say, 10 giraffes. So they can afford to spare two. यहां पर हमारे पास 8 राइनो है, सो हम 2 राइनो यहां से भेज सकते हैं. दैट इज अ काइंड ऑफ, सो इट बिकम्स व्हाट? नया वर्ड समझ में आया? समझ में आया तो अंडरस्टूड सर करके लिखो. ओके, सो इट इज कॉल्ड अ बार्टर सिस्टम. सो एंड देन सम फॉर्म ऑफ राइटिंग, दैट इज लैंग्वेज. and cultural ideas. What I explained, that you have different kind of cultures in terms of architecture, literature, oral traditions, and social customs. And of course they were practicing agriculture, farming, यानी कि कुछ ना कुछ उगाते थे. Now you think हड़प्पा में क्या खाते होंगे, ये सब इस चैप्टर में पढ़ेंगे. सो ऑलवेज डोंट थिंक ऑफ अरे यार 22 पेजेस का चैप्टर है. नो, थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक दिस. उस समय पर कैसा रहा होगा जिंदगी, कैसी रही होगी जिंदगी, व्हाट वुड हैव बीन द लाइफ in Harappa at that time. No electricity. They would have their own systems. What would have been the way they would kind of govern themselves? It is all very fascinating. Okay, and that's what you should think about. So what do you think about is the most fundamental. What is it that you need? You need language, you need some kind of a governance structure, you need trade, etc. Okay, now आगे चलते हैं. It is easy enough to see that in all these characteristics are present in most societies in the world today. But when did civilization begin in the sense that we know today? ये तो ठीक है, हमने जान लिया कि civilization का मतलब क्या होता है, लेकिन civilization जिस तरह से हम आज जानते हैं, the way we know of it today, when did it actually start? I mean, there must have been some date from when it, like your academic year starts in April, let's say. So okay, 2nd of April my academic year will start. Similarly, when did civilization start? Let's talk about that. So, civilization began at different times in different parts of the world. So, जो मेसोपोटामिया रीजन है, जो कि आज की दुनिया में, it is basically Iraq and Syria, which is what? It is called the Middle East region. Okay, the region between Asia and Europe, Middle East region. So, that was known as Mesopotamia at that time. That civilization happened 6,000 years ago. 6,000 years ago. Okay. Then the Egyptian civilization followed a few centuries later. Okay, ये तो हो गया. इसके बारे में हम आगे पढ़ेंगे, आगे की क्लास में पढ़ेंगे. इस समय पर आपको उसके बारे में चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं. You don't need to worry about Mesopotamia and Egyptian civilization right now. What you need to now worry about is the Indian civilization. इंडिया में कौन सा सिविलाइजेशन था, एंड आई कैन एश्योर यू इट इज फैसिनेटिंग. ओके, आई होप बाय नाउ यू हैव बॉट द मैप, जो मैंने पहले चैप्टर में कहा था ज्योग्राफी के. अगर मैप है तो उसके हिसाब से यू कैन आइडेंटिफाई, ओ हड़प्पा यहां था, मोहनजोदारो यहां था. दैट्स व्हाट मेक्स द कॉम्बिनेशन of geography and history so fascinating. So please do what I'm telling you. Okay, मम्मी डैडी को बोलो. सो मेसोपोटामियन सिविलाइजेशन वाज 4000 BC. अभी से क्या बोला मैंने? 6000 साल पहले. अभी हम कौन से इसमें हैं? 2000. वी आर इन द 21st सेंचुरी, राइट? 2024. तो यहां से 6000 साल पहले का मतलब क्या हुआ? अराउंड 4000 years before common era. Then beginning of the Egyptian civilization was around 3000 BCE. अब आते हैं इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन पर, द इंडस सरस्वती सिविलाइजेशन which is at around this region. Okay, 2000 BCE के आगे पीछे, between 1900 and a little over 2000. Okay, so यहां पर the Indus. So this is comparatively younger compared to these two civilizations. So ये बात भी आपको जानना जरूरी है. MCQ के हिसाब से आपको ये तीनों years का हिसाब याद रखना चाहिए. Okay, now so Indus Valley civilization is between 2600 to 1900 BCE. So it is, ये देखो ना, 1900 यहां पे आता है, यहां पर आता है 2600. So इस 700 years का ये civilization है. तो ये छोटा पीरियड नहीं है, बहुत लंबा पीरियड है. Okay, now let's now move from village to city. Now if you see the India map, the northwestern part of India and Pakistan is what was the entire Sindhu Saraswati civilization or the Indus Valley civilization, जिसको कि हड़प्पन civilization भी कहते हैं. ये क्यों कहते हैं ये मैं लास्ट में बताऊंगा. ओके, तो बने रहिए वीडियो के साथ. सो द वास्ट प्लेन्स ऑफ द पंजाब, यानी कि आज का पंजाब, जो कि इंडिया के पंजाब और पाकिस्तान के पंजाब में डिवाइड हुआ पड़ा है. जब 1947 में पार्टीशन हुआ तब पंजाब एंड बंगाल वर टू स्टेट्स व्हिच वर डिवाइडेड. बंगाल का पार्टीशन तो हालांकि पहले ही हो गया था, बाय लॉर्ड कर्जन, उसके बारे में आप 10th क्लास में पढ़ेंगे। लेकिन पंजाब जो वेस्टर्न पार्ट में है, इंडिया का पंजाब जिसको हम जानते हैं, आप में से कई लोग पंजाब से होंगे, एंड पाकिस्तान का पंजाब जहां पर लाहौर है, राइट। सो इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान एंड सिंध which is now in Pakistan are watered by the Indus River and its tributaries. You have already seen that in the chapters before. Okay, this made those plains fertile. तो क्योंकि नदी थी, वहां पर रिवर था, so that entire area was very fertile for what? For agriculture. You please see, wherever civilizations have come up, they have always come up near a river. भला क्यों? क्योंकि पानी जब होगा, then you will ensure that you have water to drink, you have water for your cattle, your goats, you will be able to do agriculture, you will be able to take bath, you will be able to wash clothes, whatever clothes that you use. So all those things were possible. So जहां पर भी civilization पहले हुई है पूरी दुनिया में, you will find that it has always taken place near a river, कि नदी के पास ही सभ्यता, सिविलाइजेशन की शुरुआत होती है। ओके, ट्रिब्यूटरीज का मतलब मालूम है कि एक बड़ी नदी और उसमें से छोटी छोटी नदियां निकले, उन छोटी छोटी नदियों को ट्रिब्यूटरी कहते हैं, प्लूरल में ट्रिब्यूटरीज। ट्रिब्यूटरी सिंगुलर, ए रिवर दैट फ्लोज इनटू अ लार्जर रिवर और लेक, फॉर इंस्टेंस द यमुना इज द ट्रिब्यूटरी ऑफ द गंगा, यानी कि वो आके बड़ी नदी में जाकर मिल जाती है। ओके, सो a little further east, a few millenniums ago, another river, the Saraswati. Now the Saraswati river अभी नहीं है, it dried up. Okay, लेकिन माना जाता है कि इलाहाबाद यानी कि प्रयागराज जो कि उत्तर प्रदेश में है, गंगा, जमुना यानी कि यमुना and Saraswati come and meet at the Triveni Sangam. That is the belief. Okay, so used to flow from the foothills of the Himalayas through Haryana, Punjab, parts of Rajasthan and Gujarat. In this whole region, about इसका मैप यहां दिखाता हूं, about 3500 BC, villages grew into towns and the increasing trade and other exchanges, these towns further grew into cities. This transition all happened around 2600 BC. 2600 BC से सिंधु सरस्वती यानी कि इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन की शुरुआत हुई। 2600 BCE, that is the rivers were there and people organized themselves into making small villages and towns, and that's how the Indus Valley civilization or the Sindhu Saraswati civilization started. This year, please make a note of it, is important. Now, Indus, Harappan, Indus Saraswati or Sindhu Saraswati civilization, all of them mean the same. Okay, now we will use all these terms. Its inhabitants are called the Harappans. Halaki, Harappan is only in one place, but there is a reason why this entire thing is called the Harappan civilization. I will tell this to you. It's very fascinating. Okay, it is one of the oldest civilizations, but not as old as the Egyptian or the Mesopotamian civilization. Okay, this answer is one of the reasons is this, because the city of Harappa, which is in today's Punjab, if you want to visit Harappa, you have to go to Punjab in Pakistan, was the first of this civilization to be excavated way back in 1920-21, over a century ago. Okay, so over a century ago, यानी कि exactly 100 plus years के पहले हरप्पा को excavate किया गया, इसलिए इस पूरे civilization को हरप्पा का नाम दिया जाता है। समझ में आ गया? चलो, this development is also called the first urbanization of India. Why is it called the first urbanization? Because this is a civilization. What did I tell you about civilization? That under civilization, you had organized villages, organized towns, streets, roads, lanes, drainage system, everything. So it was a civilized, urbanized form of civilization, which meant that there was a governance structure. तो इसकी वजह से इसको पहला urbanization भारत का माना जाता है। अब देखते हैं मैप को। अब मैप देखेंगे तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा। याद है ना, मैंने इंडस रिवर को दिखाया था पिछले चैप्टर में, राइट? सो यहां पर देख रहे हैं आप इंडस रिवर, ये रिवर सरस्वती है। यू हैव रावी, चेनाब, झेलम, सतलज, ओके, ऑल द डिफरेंट ट्रिब्यूटरीज ऑफ इंडस रिवर, राइट? इंडस रिवर अभी पूछेंगे कहां पे है, वो पाकिस्तान में है, इंडिया में नहीं है। ओके, सो दैट इज हाउ इट वर्क्स। सो बट सतलज एक्सेट्रा इज इन इंडिया। नाउ ये सब नाम देख लो, दीज सम ऑफ द नेम्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, लाइक मोहनजोदारो, हरप्पा, यहां पे इसके ऊपर हो गया, हड़प्पा यहां पे हो गया, राइट. Dholavira is important. It is in Gujarat. Okay. Lothal is in Gujarat. It was a very important trade center in those days. Okay. Now, some of the important cities in this civilization are marked in this map. So, आपका class activity मैं कर देता हूं. These are the thing. इसको यहां पर match the following के साथ करना है. ये कौन सा कहां पे होगा? Okay. That is what you need to do. For example, हड़प्पा is in पंजाब. जैसे मैंने कहा ना, पाकिस्तान पंजाब में हड़प्पा है. ओके. धोलावीरा इज इन गुजरात. ये दो बता दिए, बाकी तीन देखते हैं. ओके. लेट्स सी द अदर 3. ये तो बोल दिया मैंने. इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ रिवर्स का भी बोल दिया. आज फॉलोइंग दिस थिंग. सो धोलावीरा इज इन गुजरात, कच्छ रीजन में. इफ एनी ऑफ यू इज फ्रॉम गुजरात, प्लीज रेज योर हैंड एंड राइट इट इन द कमेंट सेक्शन दैट and tell me whether you have gone to Dholavira. What you should do is that next time you have holidays, go to Dholavira and see the entire excavation site. Dholavira is in Gujarat. Harappa is in Punjab in Pakistan. Kalibangan is in today's Rajasthan. Mohenjo-daro is in Sindh, which is in Pakistan. And Rakhi-Gari is in Haryana in India. Okay, so these are the 5 things which you need to match. Okay, तो आपका काम मैंने कर दिया. अब पढ़ते हैं सरस्वती नदी के बारे में. Now the map shows the 5 main tributaries. Important cities grew along these rivers. I have told you the reason why rivers के पास ही civilization बनती थी, like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. But there are also many sites along the Saraswati river which today goes by the name of Ghaggar in India and Hakra in Pakistan. ये घाघर एंड हकरा क्या है? ओके, सो घाघर हकरा नदी जो बोलते हैं, दिस रिवर इज नाउ सीजनल बिकॉज इट फ्लोज ओनली ड्यूरिंग द रेनी सीजन. सो इफ यू आर आस्क्ड अ क्वेश्चन अबाउट घाघर हकरा, प्लीज टेल अबाउट घाघर हकरा रिवर. तो आप क्या लिखेंगे? बताता हूं. तो यू विल राइट द घाघर हकरा रिवर इज अ सीजनल रिवर, यानी कि कुछ सीजन में ही बहती है, बाकी सीजन में सूखी हो जाती है. इट ड्राइज अप. ओके, मीनिंग इट डज नॉट फ्लो कंटिन्यूअसली थ्रू आउट द ईयर. इट प्राइमरली फ्लोज ड्यूरिंग द मॉनसून सीजन. जब बारिश होगी, द रिवर गेट्स फुल, द रिवर बेड गेट्स फुल ऑफ वाटर एंड इट फ्लोज. बट वंस इट इज नॉट द रेनी सीजन ड्यूरिंग समर्स, इट कंप्लीटली ड्राइज अप and tends to dry up in the dry months. Okay, so this is extra information. पढ़ लो. In ancient times, it is believed that the Ghaggar Hakra river may have been a larger and a perennial river. Perennial word का मतलब है कि हमेशा. Seasonal का मतलब है एक सीजन में बहना. Perennial का मतलब है पूरे साल में. So these are 2 words which you need to remember, especially in geography. Perennial and seasonal. Okay, ये दोनों शब्दों को याद रखो. Potentially linked to the now extinct Saraswati river. So the belief is that this Ghaggar Hakra river was linked to the Saraswati river, which is not there now. Mentioned in ancient Indian texts. Over time, due to geological changes and shifts in climate, the river's flow diminished significantly, leading to its current seasonal nature. तो इसकी वजह से अभी बहती नहीं है. बहती हवा सा था वो, उड़ती पतंग सा था वो, कहां गया उसे ढूंढो. द सरस्वती रिवर का मेंशन कहां पे किया गया है? इट इज मेंशन्ड इन द ऋग्वेदा. ओके, व्हिच इज, आई मीन द हिंदूज वुड बी फेमिलियर, इट इज द एंशिएंट कलेक्शन ऑफ प्रेयर टेक्स्ट. ओके, इसको हम कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी में पढ़ेंगे. In this text, Saraswati is worshipped both as a goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning, okay, जिनकी पूजा होती है, and also as a river flowing from the mountain to the sea. Okay, now let's focus on Harappa. हड़प्पा, मोहनजोदारो एक मूवी भी बनी थी, ऋतिक रोशन और आशुतोष गौरीकर की मूवी थी, ऋतिक रोशन एंड पूजा हेगड़े. ओके, हड़प्पा एंड मोहनजोदारो नाउ इन पाकिस्तान वर द फर्स्ट 2 cities of the civilization to be discovered. और ये हुआ 1920s में, 1920, 21, 24 के बीच में हड़प्पा और मोहनजोदारो को एक्सकेवेट किया गया. बड़ी ये थी, और वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ एग्जैक्टली व्हाट 100 years ago. 100 साल पहले की बात है. 100 साल पहले मुझे तुमसे प्यार था. Several sites followed in the Indus Plains, which is why the civilization was called the Indus Valley Civilization. क्योंकि ये पूरा जो भी सिविलाइजेशन एक्सकेवेशन हुआ ये पूरा इंडस रिवर के आसपास हुआ, इसीलिए उसको इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन के नाम से जाना जाने लगा. ओके, सो दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सो you can be asked, why was the civilization initially called Indus Valley Civilization? Because all the sites like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro followed in the Indus plains. Indus नदी का plain area जो था उसमें पाया गया. उसके बाद कई सारे दूसरे शहर, there are other major cities like Dholavira in Gujarat, Rakhigarhi in Haryana, Ganberiwala in Cholistan desert of Pakistan, and hundreds of smaller sites such as Lothal in Gujarat, what I told you, were discovered, some of them excavated. Such discoveries continue even today. It is interesting to note that the Saraswati Basin includes not just two major cities, Rakhigarhi and Ganberiwala, but also several smaller ones like Farmana, Kalibangan. ये कालीबंगान, राखीगढ़ी वगैरह इंपॉर्टेंट नेम्स है. इनको एक टेबल में लिख लो, एक टेबल में इनके नाम लिख लो, कहां पे आते हैं आज के मॉडर्न इंडिया में, ताकि अगर मैच द फॉलोइंग आए तो आप कर सकते हैं, या फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स आए तो you can attempt them. So please write it down, create a small table in your notebook so that you can write and be able to do any match the following questions that you may get. So these are some of the other names which are there, which are all in the Saraswati Basin. See, Saraswati is also one of the rivers there. So it's all part of the Indus Valley civilization. The larger Harappan cities were built according to precise plans. Now ये interesting बन जाता है. अभी ध्यान से सुनो. They had wide streets. ओके, मैं यहां पे नोट्स में दिखाता हूं मैं आपको. ओके, व्हाट वर द इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर्स ऑफ हड़प्पन सिटीज, ये देख लो. ओके, इजी रहेगा. प्रिसाइज प्लानिंग, वेरी क्लियर प्लानिंग, राइट एंगल, यहां से एक स्ट्रीट, यहां से एक स्ट्रीट, ओके, यहां से दूसरा स्ट्रीट, तो इट विल बी यहां से जाके यू कैन टर्न लेफ्ट टू गो इन द वेस्टर्न डायरेक्शन. सो इट इज वेरी प्रिसाइज प्लानिंग. वाइड स्ट्रीट्स विच इंटरसेक्टेड एट राइट एंगल्स लाइक दिस, and they were aligned to north, south, east, west. ऐसा उल्टा सीधा नहीं कि यहां से जाके ऐसा जा रहा है, ऐसा जा रहा है. No, all parallel. So and they were aligned to the north, south, west, and east, which is the basic coordinates. Fortification in most cities, यानी कि जो शहर है उसके आगे पूरा surrounding there was fortification. Soldiers होते थे and you essentially had protection on all four sides. There was an upper town and a lower town. Bhala kyun? Upper town is where the more rich people lived, the people who were powerful lived, right? And lower town where the common people lived. Then there were big warehouses बोलते हैं ना, to store goods, जहां पे अनाज वगैरह रखने के लिए बड़े बड़े गोदाम या godowns. Then there were individual houses थे अलग अलग साइजेस के. जो अमीर था उसका घर बड़ा होता था, जो गरीब था उसका घर शायद छोटा होता था. देन देयर वर स्मॉलर स्ट्रीट्स के साथ छोटी गलियां, ये गलियां ये चौबारा, यहां आना ना दोबारा. बिल्डिंग्स वर मेड ऑफ ब्रिक्स. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. तो तभी से ईंटों को यूज करने का प्रचलन था. दैट इज ब्रिक्स वर यूज्ड इवन एट दैट टाइम टू कंस्ट्रक्ट हाउसेस एंड बिल्डिंग्स. Then the quality of construction was uniform. It's not like one house was built very badly and one house was built very good. It was a uniform quality of construction. So this is what is given out here. So some large buildings used to be for collective purposes, warehouses where goods were stored. Individual houses of various size lined the streets. Interestingly, the quality of construction was the same. The buildings were generally made of bricks. The purpose of some of the structures remains a matter of debate. This is a great bath. Now, great bath यहाँ पर आपको मोहनजोदारो में मिलेगा. I have gone to the bath in England. Okay, in England near London, you have something called the bath. Okay, which is like बीच में पूरा पानी होगा. It's almost like a hot spring where you could take bath, etc. And that seems to be a culture. यहाँ पर भी है. Imagine England में भी था similar kind of bath. So it is called the Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro, a small but elaborate tank which measured about 12 to 7 meters, 12 by 7 meters, waterproofing material वगैरह होता था. So basically, if you see the photograph, you will get an idea. So you have, this is the bath. No, ये तो गली है. ये पूरा धोलावीरा का है, ये कालीबंगान का है, ये आगे वाले इसमें है. So आसपास रूम्स वगैरह होते थे for people to change, etc. and then there was a drain for the water to flow out. So it was a system which was there. So if you see here, यहाँ पर पूरा पानी भर जाता था, यहाँ पर कमरे वगैरह होते थे, and you can see the steps here. You come down the steps, you take bath in the tank, and that's how you did. So it was the great bath which has been excavated in Mohenjo-daro, which is in today's Sindh in Pakistan. I'm going on repeating ताकि आपके दिमाग में ये इम्प्रिंट हो जाए, रट्टा मारने की जरूरत ना पड़े, कभी भी रट्टा मत मारो हिस्ट्री को. सो ये एक आंसर है, क्वेश्चन है जो कि आपको पूछा जा सकता है एग्जाम में कि व्हाट वाज द पर्पस ऑफ द ग्रेट बाथ इन मोहेंजोदारो. तो इसका मानना है आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट का दैट उसके कई सारे यूजेस हो सकते थे. पहला, दैट ए पब्लिक बाथ फॉर पीपल्स, की सभी लोग आके जैसे नदी में आके नहाते हैं, तालाब में आके नहाते हैं, वहां पर सभी आकर नहाएं. दूसरा, जो वहां के जो राजा महाराजा रहे होंगे मोहेंजोदारो के, उनके लिए नहाने के लिए, उस परिवार के लिए, रॉयल परिवार के लिए, फॉर द रॉयल फैमिली टू कम एंड टेक बाथ, दिस ग्रेट बाथ मस्ट हैव बीन कंस्ट्रक्टेड. You can only conjecture, right? You can only imagine that may have been a reason. The third could have been that a tank used for any kind of religious festival. It's quite possible कि वहां पर पूजा अर्चना वगैरह होती हो. तो इसमें जो पहला रीजन है, that seems a little unlikely because it turns out that in this city, that is in Mohenjo-daro, most houses had individual bathrooms. So मेरे घर में अगर individual washroom है, तो मैं वहां जाके public tank में जाकर क्यों नहाऊंगा, right? So the first reason is ruled out. So it's either was used for the royal family or for any kind of religious rituals. So you have to write this entire answer if you get this question. So please put a star mark. ये आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा. Okay. Next we come to the water management. Now the Harappans gave a lot of importance to water management and cleanliness. अच्छी बात है. Okay. Swachh Harappan Abhiyan. Okay. So they often had separate areas for bathing in their homes. These were connected to a larger network of drains which generally ran below the streets and took the wastewater away. So you see, there are these kind of drains which are following, which are at a lower level than the rest of the house. Okay. So they had a proper drainage system. So you can imagine कि कितना सोचा होगा. Can you imagine 4,000 years ago, people were thinking about all these things? Wow. You know, imagine a drainage system. I find it very fascinating that man at that time was able to think logically and had all these kind of engineering ideas. आजकल के बच्चे तो बीटेक वगैरह पढ़ने के लिए engineering colleges में जाते हैं. These people without any kind of formal education were actually able to achieve this. Isn't this fascinating? I find it very fascinating. So this is a drainage system in Lothal in Gujarat. In Mohenjo-daro, people drew water from hundreds of wells made of bricks. So कुएं बना दिए थे, which meant they understood कि water जमीन के नीचे है. So कुएं बनाकर they could draw water from the well. कभी किसी गांव में जाके कुएं से पानी निकाला है? अगर नहीं निकाला तो निकालो. किसी जिम में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. You keep doing this, you'll build your muscles. Okay, so that is a great exercise. But in other regions, it may have been from ponds, nearby streams, or human-made reservoirs. Reservoir is a large artificial place. It's like a tank, you know, where you store water, which you can use especially during the summer months. So Dholavira, Run of Kutch mein kyun? Because Run of Kutch is a dry place. It's like a desert. तो पानी की किल्लत होती है. There is shortage of water. So in Run of Kutch kind of places, you need to have these reservoirs, these tanks, in order to conserve water so that you can use that in the summer months. So they were understanding, oh, there is not enough rainfall in this area, so we need to save on water. So that is what the people did at that point in time. So the largest reservoir measured 73 meters in length. MCQ के हिसाब से please remember this also. Okay. Now, in Dholavira, at least 6 large reservoirs were built in stones and even cut into the rock. Gujarat, Kutch, most of them were connected through underground drains for efficient water harvesting and distribution. So you see how different kind of structures were made like this. So it's a large reservoir cut in the rock at Dholavira, measuring 33 meters in length. So this is how in the dry areas of Gujarat in Kutch, they were conserving water. Okay, so they were intelligent, they were sensible, and they had engineering ideas. Okay. Now the book is asking you to imagine, you know, कैसे काम किया होगा, कितने लोग would have been employed. He is trying to kind of make you think like that. See, I'm speaking in a combination of English and Hindi because English में use करोगे, because all these sentences you can start writing in English. You keep listening to me, it will become part of your language, that okay, this is the way I should write my answers, because answers after all you have to write in English. Okay, now what did the Harappans eat? Now let's talk about खाने में क्या है आज. Okay, so the Harappans created many of their settlements along the banks of large and small rivers like every other civilization. This is a logical choice, not just for easy access to water, but also for agriculture, since rivers enrich the soil around them, what I told you, right? The archaeological findings have shown that the Harappans grew cereals like barley, wheat, millets, and sometimes rice, in addition to pulses and a variety of vegetables. तो क्या grow करते थे? सब्जी, दाल, pulses का मतलब दाल, okay? Millets यानी कि जवार, बाजरा, etc. चावल, barley and gehu. Okay, these were the things that they were growing at that time, the Harappans. They were also the first in Eurasia. Eurasia का मतलब क्या? मैंने बताया है, यूरोप एंड एशिया को कंबाइन करके देखो तो, to grow cotton. This is important. Harappans were the first to grow cotton, और उससे they were able to stitch clothes for themselves. So they were among the first to grow cotton there, which they used to weave into clothes. They made farming tools, including the plow यानी कि हल, okay, some of which continue to be used by modern day farmers. So तब का जो हल था इस तरह से दिखता था. ये जितनी भी ड्राइंग्स हैं इसको भी नोट कर लो. हो सकता है आपकी टीचर आपसे एक सिर्फ फोटोग्राफ दिखाए और कहे इसको आइडेंटिफाई करो बच्चा. तो बच्चों आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा. You will have to identify the figures like this. So all the photographs, don't keep skipping the photographs. Keep looking at the photographs, because you may get a picture based question also. Depends on your teacher, okay? Because the teacher in Ludhiana may give a different question paper from a teacher in Surat, from a teacher in Madurai, from a teacher in Thiruvananthapuram, or a teacher in Kolkata, right? So I'm giving you the different possibilities. Now, the intense agricultural activity was managed by hundreds of small rural sites or villages. Then as now, the cities could survive only if enough agriculture produced. So, you needed to create agriculture because खाने के लिए चाहिए होता था, right? And then you can use this also for trade. That, oh, I am having wheat, you have rice, okay, let's do an exchange, right? So we can exchange the agricultural produce. The Harappans also domesticated. There are a lot of cattle which they used to domesticate for meat consumption, and also they used to catch fish in the river, okay? So this is known from the large number of animal and fish bones. Question, किस तरह से क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है? ओके, ये तो हो गया इसके बारे में. धोलावीरा वाटर मैनेजमेंट के बारे में, लार्ज वाटर बॉडीज, व्हाट आई टोल्ड यू ऑलरेडी. ओके, ये मैं लिख दूंगा, डाल दूंगा तो आप पढ़ लेना. ओके, सो ये हो गया. नाउ द रिजर्वॉयर्स वर पार्ट ऑफ द थिंग. ये क्वेश्चन देखो. How do we know that the Harappans domesticated a number of animals for meat consumption and fished both in rivers and the sea? कैसे मालूम है? इस तरह का क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछा जा सकता है. You can be asked because a large number of animal and fish bones were found during excavation. So during excavation, these bones were found, which gave historians an idea that, oh, that means they used to do fishing in the river. They also used to eat, grow, take care of animals in order to have them for meat consumption. उसके बाद कुकिंग पॉट्स किस तरह से थे? बेसिकली क्ले यानी कि मिट्टी से बने होते थे, राइट? एंड द इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज दैट टर्मरिक, जिंजर एंड बनाना वाज आल्सो फाउंड, ड्यूरिंग द एक्सकेवेशन. टर्मरिक का मतलब हल्दी, हिंदी में हल्दी बोलते हैं, तमिल में मंजल बोलते हैं, राइट? जिंजर यानी कि अदरक, तमिल में इंजी बोलते हैं, राइट? बनाना तो मालूम है, केला या पഴം इन तमिल. ओके, सो आई एम गिविंग यू two Indian languages का this thing also. Now, a brisk trade. The Harappans were engaged in active trade not only within their own civilization, other cities nearby or far away, but with the other. Tamil में banana को वाழைப்பழம் बोलते हैं. पഴம் can be referred to any fruit. Okay. People in North India can also learn a few Tamil words if you listen to me. People in South India and East India can pick up Hindi words, That's how you learn. The more languages you learn, the better you get. Okay. Now, this is about the trade. So they would kind of export ornaments, okay, timber, yani ki wood, and also gold and cotton and possibly some food items. The most favored ornaments were beads of carnelian. Now, what is this carnelian? थोड़ा सा scientific है, समझ लो. Carnelian is a semi-precious gemstone. इतना समझना जरूरी है बस. Okay, it's a semi-precious gemstone that is a variety of. This is a very difficult word for you to remember, but मैंने लिख दिया. समझ लो, याद रखो, chalcedony, which is a mineral in the quartz family. It is known for it. It has basically a very reddish brown kind of a color, which comes from the presence of iron oxide. तो चूंकि उसमें आपको याद क्या रखना है, उसमें आयरन ऑक्साइड होता है, जिसकी वजह से एक रेडिश ब्राउन या ऑरेंज रेड काइंड ऑफ कलर उसमें आता है, और ये क्वार्ट्ज फैमिली का मिनरल है, एंड देयरफॉर इट इज कंसिडर्ड अ सेमी प्रेशियस जेमस्टोन. तो दिस वाज वन ऑफ द elements of their ornament. So it was highly valued in ancient cultures, including Indus Valley civilization. It was used to make beads, ornaments banane ke liye, women would use, etc. So they would do that for a necklace, etc. It was used, and they were skilled in crafting carnelian beads. So जिस तरह की ज्वेलरी में कौन सा जेमस्टोन का इस्तेमाल होता था, that was carnelian. That's what you need to remember. Okay, इसका एक फोटो भी है. तो वही, तो हड़प्पन्स इंपोर्टेड. तो हड़प्पन्स लेने के बजाय क्या देते थे? Probably they got copper, since this metal was not common back home. तो यहां पर कॉपर नहीं मिलता था, लेकिन कॉपर का इस्तेमाल होता था. ये कैसे पता है? That's very interesting. I'll tell you. Now you see, Harappans mastered the art of working copper, a soft metal, because अगर tin को copper के साथ mix किया जाए, then you get bronze, and bronze is more hard than copper, and the Harappans used bronze. तो अगर ब्रॉन्ज का इस्तेमाल किया है, तो इसका मतलब है कि कहीं ना कहीं से कॉपर तो लाए ही होंगे. ओके, सो टू मेक टूल्स, पॉट्स एंड पैन. सो टूल्स देखो, ये है कंगी. दिस इज ए कुंभ. कैन यू इमेजिन? This is an ivory comb about 7 centimeters long, found on the coast of Oman. Okay, not here in Oman. Now this is all the carnelian beads. Okay, I told you, reddish brown or orangish red kind of in color. To conduct such a trade, they used land routes and rivers and the sea for more distant destinations. This is the first intensive maritime activity in India. Maritime मतलब समुद्र के रास्ते से. Indeed, quite a few Harappan settlements are located in the coastal regions of Gujarat and Sindh. And Lothal, a small settlement. Lothal, which I said, was a major port town in Gujarat, जहां से काफी सारे जहाज बाकी देशों को जाते थे. तो वहां से काफी सारा व्यापार और ट्रेड used to take place from Lothal in Gujarat. A huge basin measuring 217 meters. ये आप क्लास 9 में भी करेंगे ये सब. Okay, in more detail. The length is just a little more than that of 2 football grounds. So वहां पर जितना बड़ा स्पेस था, it was like double the size of 2 football grounds. It was a little more than 2 football grounds together. The basin must have been a dockyard, यहाँ की यानी कि जहां पर जहाज आके रुकते थे. So you can imagine that's a kind of trading place that ancient India had. And such elaborate trade requires traders to be able to identify their goods and also each other. This seems to have been the purpose of thousands of small seals. So how would you recognize? तो seals को पाया गया. तो seal का मतलब जैसे भारत सरकार का सील होता है, राइट? तो उसी तरह के सील्स का इस्तेमाल होता था. सो दैट मींस इट मस्ट हैव बीन यूज्ड फॉर ट्रेड, कि ये मेरा माल है तो मेरे माल पर मेरा सील होगा. सो दैट्स व्हाई seals were used, and that has been found during many excavations. Okay, this is the big dockyard in Lothal. Okay, and the seals were made of steatite. ये याद रखो, steatite, which is a soft stone that could be hardened during heating. They measure only a few centimeters. ये सारे seals हैं. These are all seals, and these are the very popular seals, especially this one and this one, even this one. But these two are very popular seals of that time. Okay, so the Harappan seals which show a unicorn, this one which has a big seeing, the Harappan seal showing a bull, ये आप देख सकते हैं, एक बैल है, and this one which is a tiger, okay, which is a big horns. So that's what, these are the seals which were used for the purpose of trade, and they always used animal figures. Okay, ये बात भी आप याद रखो. Now this is some photographs. So you have a bronze mirror, you have a terracotta pot, you have, this one is a few stone beds, पेपर पे स्टोन की तरह रखने के लिए. Then bronze chisel. Then this is a game, a games board on a stone. ये होता है ना, different kind of games which are there. I mean the older versions of Ludo, etc. Right? So ये अलग अलग तरह के हैं. Now the more interesting thing, now this is very very famous. This is one of the most famous symbols of Harappa. Okay, he's called the priest king. Okay, from the way the dress is there, you see it's a very ornamental kind of dress. So it's known as the priest king. Okay, which means he was someone who was in a ruling kind of a position. Then this is the swastika. You can, I hope you can see it clearly on the screen. That's the swastika, the Hindu swastika symbol. Then you have the three-faced deity. Yeah, okay, the three-faced deity with powerful animals, the elephant, the tiger, etc. You have different kinds of animals out there. This is the dancing girl, which is very famous. Okay, this is a bronze thing from Mohenjo-daro. So you please identify all these. आपको अगर picture based questions पूछे जाते हैं, you should be able to identify the priest king, the dancing girl, the seals, everything you will need to identify. Then a terracotta figurine seated in a namaste, you see, doing a namaste. Okay, and a design on a pot seems to tell the story of the thirsty crow. Right, you see, the thirsty crow की कहानी बताता है. तो ये कहानी तब से चली आ रही है कि कंकड़ डाल के पानी ऊपर लेके आए. Okay, then so that's what it is. And okay, यहाँ आते हैं. Around 1900 BC. Now अब सोचेंगे कि इतना बढ़िया चल रहा था इन लोगों का 700 साल, फिर खत्म कैसे हो गया? Obvious question, right? So around 1900 BC, 2600 से शुरू हुआ, मालूम है ना, कम में होता जाएगा. BC की बात कर रहे हैं, बिफोर कॉमन एरा, बिफोर क्राइस्ट. So 1900 BCE के आसपास, this Sindhu Saraswati civilization, despite all its achievements, trade, governance, urbanization, language, culture, agriculture, everything, उन सबके बावजूद it began to fall apart. How interesting. These cities were abandoned, कि लोग खाली करते चले गए. Okay, and they moved to different parts. If any inhabitants remained, they adopted a rural lifestyle in the changed environment. यानी कि urban lifestyle नहीं रहा, rural lifestyle हो गया. It appears that the earlier government or administration no longer existed. Gradually, the Harappans scattered over hundreds, if not thousands, of small rural settlements. तो इसका कारण ये हुआ होगा कि शायद वहां पर पानी की shortage रही होगी. That there was shortage of water, because of which they had to move out of that place. The Harappans returned to rural settlements because a rural lifestyle gives easier access to food and water than an urban lifestyle. Then, as now cities depended on villages to provide food and sometimes water. What caused the decline? Archaeologists have many reasons. Long back, it was thought that warfare, कि शायद युद्ध हुआ होगा, लेकिन वहां पर किसी भी तरह का युद्ध होने का कोई भी सबूत नहीं मिला. There was no proof that the Harappan civilization people fought any kind of war. So it doesn't look like somebody attacked it and therefore they were all killed. ऐसा नहीं लगता है. Okay, they don't seem to have kept any army or weapons of war as far as evidence goes. It was a peaceful civilization. Important line, underline कर लो. So दूसरे reasons क्या है कि शायद कुछ तरह का climate change हुआ होगा, causing reduced rainfall, and as a result of which पानी की shortage हो गई होगी, and that would have made agriculture more difficult and reduced food supply to the cities. Number two, the Saraswati river dried up, okay, in the central basin, and suddenly cities like Kalibangan or Banavali, they were abandoned because there was no water around. Okay, so that could have been other factors. So the climatic factor seems to be a much more of an important reason why these cities in the Harappan civilization were abandoned. Though the cities disappeared, much of the Harappan culture and technology survived and was passed on to the next phase of Indian civilization, which we will explore in a future chapter. तो ये तो हो गया. अभी मैं आपको नोट्स में थोड़ा सा दिखा देता हूँ. ये हो गया. Okay, ये मैं जो बोल रहा था. You may be confused about this. Is Harappan and Indian civilization same? Yes, it is the same. The Harappan civilization is a part of the larger Indus Valley civilization. You may think Harappa तो एक ही जगह है, तो पूरे को हरप्पा क्यों बोलते हैं? वो इसलिए बोलते हैं, जैसे मैंने कहा, but the terms are often used interchangeably because Harappa was one of the first and most extensively excavated sites of this civilization in the 1920s. So please write this in your answers. Okay. The Indus Valley civilization refers to the entire Bronze Age civilization. इसको Bronze Age civilization भी बोलते हैं because bronze का इस्तेमाल काफी हद तक हो रहा था. Bronze, which is made by mixing tin with copper. So that flourished in the Indus River and its tributaries, covering a vast area that includes parts of modern day India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. So Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Dholavira, Kalibangan, Rakhigarhi, and Lothal, ये सब important शहर थे. Harappan civilization specially refers to the same Indus Valley civilization, but is named after the city of Harappa, which is the first site to be excavated. Seals का क्या purpose है? Seals were used to mark ownership of goods, like the signature or trademark today. तो ये वहां पर स्टैम्प करते थे. दूसरा ट्रेड के लिए, बिकॉज लोथल वहां पर बड़ा ट्रेडिंग सेंटर था जैसे मैंने कहा, और वहां पर ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटी में सील्स का इस्तेमाल होता था फॉर कमर्शियल एक्टिविटीज. Third, it could be for record keeping, so that we maintain records that, okay, we sent so much of wheat, we got so much of copper, we sent so much of gold, we got something else in return. So for record keeping also, the seals were used to record transaction, or इसने tax pay किया है, so okay, we will give you a seal, just like what is happening in today's India, etc. Okay, so this system helped in maintaining the economic and administrative functions of the city. So ये हो गए, ये 3 points आप याद रख लो. This is the revision points. Question and answers हम बाद में करेंगे. So I hope you have understood this entire chapter. पूरा history, पूरा geography, पूरा civics, everything has been done. Now you have 2 chapters of cultural history and 2 chapters of economics left. Last chapter of video of civics मैंने record कर लिया. I will put that on urban governance. So it's already, most of it is done. Question and answers we will do separately. Okay, tata, bye bye, thank you very much, namaskar. Share the video and subscribe to CBSE with Sudhir.